FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Trilogy Metals is a world-class developer in Alaska's Ambler Mining District. The company already possesses 8 billion pounds of copper, 3 billion pounds of zinc, over 1 million gold-equivalent ounces, and now over 77 million pounds of cobalt. Trilogy's Arctic project boasts an after-tax net present value of $1.4 billion with a 33% IRR. Trilogy is led by an experienced management team with proven success in discovering and developing projects in Alaska. The company is well capitalized, has no debt, and possesses strong institutional support. Trilogy trades on the New York and Toronto exchanges under the ticker symbol TMQ. To learn more, go to trilogymetals.com. That's trilogymetals.com.
The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz. It's May 28th, 2019. Hope you all had a wonderful Memorial Day weekend. I had an incredible one, maybe even life-changing, but I'll share those details with you later. But lots of good news from the home front. We're seeing the whole Spygate just blow up in front of our eyes. The truth is coming out. Hopefully, a large number of so-called norms or normals, as they're referred to in the blogosphere, will be red-pilled and actually be able to grasp the truth of what took place prior to Trump's election. Prior to that, mass surveillance, Operation Hammer, literally every single one of you out there is being monitored actively at this moment. And if you say something wrong, it will come to the attention of people who will try to take steps. Perhaps. Maybe they're not taking steps now, but that's possible in the future. Hey, well, as always, questions or comments, email me, kl@kerrylutz.com. And our good friend is back with us talking about Dr. Gerard Lameiro. And Gerard, it's great to have you back on. And we've seen now that the media is falling into place behind the Lameiro theory of the re-election, the inevitable re-election of Donald Trump.
Right. We have the New York Times just out recently with an article about forecasters. Nobody called me. I've been forecasting for years and years, but I don't care. Maybe they just call more liberal forecasters. But all 3 of them came up with the same conclusion I came up with months ago, and that is right now, unless something major happens that we're not predicting, Donald Trump is going to ease into a fairly strong re-election bid and win in the Electoral College by now over 360 electoral votes.
Yeah, well, look at who's running against him here.
The funny farm.
Yeah, it's the clown bus, the clown car. It's just,
that's right.
One of them is more pathetic than the next. And Joe Biden is the great white hope. And Joe Biden has got more skeletons in his closet than the New York City medical examiner. And he's creepy Uncle Joe. He's losing his faculties. It's obvious. And their strategy, there was just an article, I think it was in the Washington Compost, is his strategy is minimize engagement with the electorate because everybody knows who he is anyway, and he can only go down. They don't talk about his gaffes, his reminder of that he's on the wrong side of all these issues that the alt-left, the great unwashed Che Guevara masses of the Democratic Party are extolling the virtues of. Uncle Joe, creepy Uncle Joe, almost seems normal when he's compared to the rest of the clown show.
That's right. But, it turns out, looking at different demographics, that young Americans, millennial types, and others, when they see YouTube videos of him being creepy around women, sniffing their hair, sticking his face very close to their face, it looks to to many millennials, this guy is really out of touch with the current generation of
Me Too,
allowing women to have space and not harassing them.
Yeah,
So a lot of people don't support him for that very reason.
Gerard, being around Joe Biden for a woman means never having a safe space.
That's right. People have a private space around them. You can't violate it without making them feel very uncomfortable. Millennials are telling us that they are very uncomfortable with seeing him do the kinds of things he's done over recent years.
Yeah.
And that's the turnoff. And there's a lot of other turnoffs. His gas, his son's actions, and stuff.
China, and Ukraine, and
Ukraine's another one.
It seems like Uncle Joe is a bit of a fixer that we never really got to see that side of him, did we?
No, we certainly didn't. And I think that the fact, to me, one of the most significant factors is that he's really playing a Hillary Clinton strategy. Hillary Clinton tried to avoid talking in the public. I mean, she took so many days off. People who run for president have to be out campaigning normally. But he's taking the Hillary Clinton thing where you basically stay away from the public, and you hide your if you will, infirmities. Because I heard his opening speech in Pittsburgh, which was a while back, 2 weeks ago, and I couldn't believe how he was slurring over words and stuttering.
Yeah, that was very disconcerting.
He even came up with words that don't exist.
Yeah, like hedge funds.
Thinking, this is his first speech.
Yeah, he's worried about the hedge funds, how much taxes the hedge funds pay.
Those hedge funds, you got to be careful.
Yeah, well, hey, I'm not sure what they are, but you should be wary of them because they could cause you trouble, right?
I never invest in a hedge fund.
Yeah, I would stay away from them at all costs. Weird stuff though. But
he's actually slightly ahead in some places if you look at polls. But I'll tell you, I've looked at the behind the scenes of the polls, and they're making the same kind of mistakes that they made in 2016, or maybe they're intentional. I don't know.
Hey, that old saying? It was a saying I think about World War I. They've learned nothing and they've forgotten nothing. And that's the state of the Democratic Party today, right?
Absolutely. And he's their leading candidate. That's a bad sign.
Yes.
Bernie's up there. Buttigieg, who's got a name that's hard for people to pronounce.
I have a real easy way to remember it. Just call him Mayor Buttplug. It's just what I see when I see it.
He's kind of the slick one among the bees. I talk about Bernie, Biden, and Buttigieg.
Yep.
Mayor Pete is kind of the mayor of South Bend, Indiana, is kind of the one who's a little bit smoother. The Hollywood types like him because he's got a good face for Hollywood type pictures and things. They kind of like him. They're putting out a lot of money and
they like that he's gay. That makes him eminently qualified.
Not one of these can beat Donald Trump.
Yeah. No, I don't see how. I don't, as my parents would say in a less politically correct time, I don't think any of them have a Chinaman's chance of beating, and I don't know what that means exactly, but that's what they used to say, of beating Trump. I mean, they bring nothing to the table here, Gerard. There's nothing, no substance, nothing.
And it also seems like the only one who can get nominated is, in terms of if you want to look at a generic candidate in the Democratic Party now, is somebody who's an outright socialist. I mean, who's going to promote socialism. I mean, the intellectual thought leader, you might say, is Bernie Sanders, because he's offering a little different set of thoughts, but they're really pretty awful set of thoughts. But yet that's what a lot of the Democrats really are seeking, because they're off the deep end, leftist liberals that are extreme. And they're going to vote for somebody who's for the Green New Deal, even though people don't want to give up hamburgers and cows. And they want to fly across the country, not go on a bullet train.
So
we know how the California bullet train has not succeeded. And how about those poor members of our citizenry who lives in Hawaii? Are they going to take a bullet train to California because they're not allowed to fly? I mean, the Green New Deal is ridiculous, but that's the kind of person someone who supports that's going to be nominated.
That's so funny that you say that. Well, we've seen this kind of lunacy before from the Democrats. We saw it in 1972. They were shellacked, destroyed in 72 because they put up McGovern. And really, Hillary, and it's interesting. I want to go back to something you said, Gerard, about Hillary's strategy was keep a low profile, don't engage, because the more you engage, the less people like you. The more they know about you, the more they see you. It was once said of one candidate that every time he opened his mouth, he lost 10,000 votes. And I think that it was effective for Hillary, and it's going to be equally as effective for Joe Biden. For what were they calling him? Slow Joe Biden, or Biden
They have
time?
a lot of names for him.
Yeah.
But you know what? Joe Biden's not going to be even nominated. He does not have the strength to be nominated. So I don't think we're going to see him run against Trump. Even though he's out in front of the polls, there's so many flaws, in my opinion, with the polls. I think the forecast models are much more accurate. And I think the forecast models pick others to be more likely to be nominated.
So who's it going to be then? I can't see it being Bernie the socialist. I just can't believe that they would go down the rabbit hole that deep. That would set them back for a decade if Bernie were to be.
For a while, early this year, it looked like Michelle Obama was going to step in.
No, never going to happen.
There are a lot of problems now. She's got to face the charges against the Obama administration and the indictments that are coming out.
Yeah, it's never going to happen.
There could be 6 people indicted later this year at a minimum.
56?
And they're going to be part of the Obama administration, and Michelle suffers from that. She doesn't have a lot of enemies and disapproval.
She doesn't want it, though. She doesn't want the job,
Well, she says that. She'd be a figurehead for Obama getting two more terms.
Yeah.
But she was moving ahead for a while, but that's no longer the case.
Mm-hmm.
I think, believe it or not, as of now, it's going to be somebody like Pete Buttigieg, because he's got the least, if you will, insanity in his statement in terms of, not that he doesn't believe much the same as Bernie Sanders, but he says it and couches it in terms that might be, they're able to fool the people about what he's really for.
And he was in the military.
Yeah, he had a strong military record, Navy intelligence. He also was a Rhodes Scholarship winner, went to Harvard. He has a couple of good things on his resume, and that's why Hollywood likes him.
Yeah, he's photogenic. He's articulate. He definitely is. But with a name like Buttigieg, you're never getting elected as president of the United States. There is not
I don't think he's going to get elected, but I think he has a chance of getting the nomination.
Yeah. Yeah, well, they're all long shots here. It's like, you know what it is? It's like you sit down for a game of Hold'em, and even if you're dealt a 7-2, which is like the worst hand ever, even if you're dealt a 7-2, you could still win the hand because everybody drops, or who knows, you get 3 sevens on the flop, and you wind up having 4 sevens or a full house or whatever. You get 2 sevens and a 2 on the flop, and you got a full house, and you have the best hand at the table. That's what this batch of Democrats is like. They're all long shots. They're all holding weak cards, but we haven't seen the flop yet.
Right. I call it the 2% club. Most of them have, like John Hickenlooper, governor from Colorado, Michael Bennet, the senator from Colorado. Colorado is well represented this time around.
Wonder why.
And you go on, Kamala Harris, and that these people in some polls might get 4%, but almost all of them in reality have about 2% or less.
Yeah.
A lot of them are in the 1% club. They don't even have 2%.
Yeah.
It's going to be a fascinating debate.
Hey, Bill de Blasio's in the 0% club. He has zero support.
That's right.
Hickenlooper.
He didn't get any support.
Yeah. Hickenlooper is their best all-around candidate, but his biggest problem is his name is Hickenlooper. Just like they're not going to elect a President Buttplug, they're not going to elect a President Hickenlooper. This is not nobody.
Other thing is that Hickenlooper has taken as this big issue the fact that he wants to basically take away everyone's weapons.
Guns. Yeah.
He's against the Second Amendment big time,
Mm-hmm.
and that is not going to go over. And also, if he doesn't get the presidential nomination, which I don't think he will, his backup plan was to run against Senator Cory Gardner, who's up for re-election this year, Republican senator. And being so anti-Second Amendment, he's going to lose that vote as well if he does decide to run for senator.
Interesting. But he probably was their best all-around guy. He actually was governor for 2 terms, and, he was...
Well, he has some resume items, but he was a do-nothing governor. He has nothing that really said he did something when he was there, no big, shining monument to his successes. He just was able to kind of weave and bob his way along.
Yeah, more or less.
He was asked recently, are you a capitalist? And he said, no, I'm not a capitalist. And then later he changed. He said, well, I'm not a capitalist like Donald Trump.
Yeah. It's just Dumb and Dumber,
Really?
It's just when you think, and do you think we've seen all the candidates, or is anybody else jumping in?
Well, we still got 3 or 4 that could jump in the next month or so, but time's running out. So if they're going to jump in, they might as well jump in. The problem is the money, and a lot of it's sat on the sidelines because the big donors want to figure out who's going to win.
Yes.
And the other problem is that, advisors help. Also, resources go away when you don't run and don't announce.
Correct.
So we may get up to, we have, 23 now? We might get up to 25.
Yeah.
There's going to be some debate.
I just think that de Blasio coming in, I have to tell you the truth. I got to make a confession to you, Gerard.
Yeah?
I donated $1 to the de Blasio campaign because look, I got to get some writers on the staff here, and I really can't afford to pay them. But the material that they are sending me from the de Blasio campaign, I mean, I could outdo Jimmy Fallon. I mean, this is Tonight Show caliber comedy that's being produced by the de Blasio campaign.
That's really good.
I mean,
well, actually, if you want to get your name on lots of mailing lists, all you have to do is donate $1.
Yeah. Oh, I know. From now on, I'm going to be like, I am I'm on the Democrat hit list, sucker list.
Right.
We used to call them sucker lists. Yeah.
You're
for
a donor.
$1. Hey, I'm a substantial donor, I'm a high dollar donor. Also a low dollar donor, but it's you remember that movie long time ago with Jimmy Durante was in it. It's a mad, mad, mad world.
That's right. Yeah.
Well, this is a mad, mad, mad party. And,
it is.
And the final scene has yet to be written, and hopefully the country isn't so far gone that they buy this snake oil from these guys.
By the way, did I give you my prediction I made, about a month or so ago? I'm not sure if I did the last time I was on.
I don't think so.
But I have, starting in 2015, I predicted the end of the Democratic Party.
Correct.
As we know it would be coming. And each year I renewed that particular forecast because the numbers look so bad. There's 7 factors I look at for a party to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
And all 7 were down and to the right. The opposite of what you want. If you want graphs like for sales, up and to the right. Down and to the right is the Democratic Party numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm now put a date. I think the Democratic Party will physically shut down in the year 2021. I think it's going to be such a devastating loss on the presidential level.
Yeah.
And the House is going to flip back Republican.
Uh-huh.
I think the Democratic Party is going to be reeling, also from their own civil war between the younger millennials like AOC and the older dinosaur Democrats like Biden and Schumer and Pelosi. I think it'll actually physically shut down. A lot of parties in U.S. history, the Whigs went out of business, even though they had successful presidential candidates in the early 1800s.
And they were big in the cities,
lots
too.
Of parties have shut down, and people think that these parties are here forever. They're not here forever.
It just feels like
the Democratic Party has chosen to commit essentially political suicide
Yes.
The positions they hold against the American people.
Totally. Hey, I completely agree with you. The Whigs were very big in the cities pre-Civil War, and they just couldn't hold it together.
War.
And like we had 2 or 3 Whig presidents, and a lot of senators and governors, mayors of these cities, but they just couldn't hold it together. Well, hey, one more thing I wanted to talk about was the results of the EU elections, particularly in our sister country there, the UK, where a party that materialized 45 days before the election, the Brexit Party, took the elections by a resounding margin, beat both mainstream, their equivalent of the Democrats and the Republicans, the Conservatives, the Tories, rather, and the Labour Party. It totally blew them away in 45 days. That tells you something about your political environment, contemporary America and the world. And something like that can happen here in the U.S., where the parties are just swept away.
Absolutely. And there are trends. And you know what I look at when I do forecasting are the mathematical trends and even the cultural trends and things like that, which may not all be, mathematically identified. But I look at trends, and those are powerful things. The trend in Europe is toward populism, nationalism. There's a lot of ill will against migrants coming across, wanting to supposedly better themselves, but winding up in ghettos, raping citizens that are, long-term citizens, and creating all sorts of crime, just like we have in the U.S. with people coming across the border. We have 4,000 homicides.
Yeah.
Is it 48,000 rapes or whatever? We've had some ridiculous number. I don't remember the exact number on that. But basically, there's a rebellion against these elitists, these globalists that want to, create a United States of the world,
Yes.
run by some socialists. And not just the American people are against it, but the European citizens
They've turned.
are against it, and they're showing it. I mean, in Italy, we see France. Take a look at Germany. Take a look at Brexit and England and what's going on right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's clear the trends are strong. They're identifiable. And if you don't heed the advice, if you will, what the trends are telling you, you're going to stand in the way and get mowed down by the populist, nationalist feeling.
Yep, I think you are correct on that score, Gerard. And we got to be running now. Just tell us again, where's the best place to find you these days?
Right. Well, greatnewsforamerica.com. They're literally, I think I have over 200 web pages with articles I've written and things I've written.
Wow.
Also, they some of those pages reference my 5 books that are on sale at Amazon. You can buy any of my 5 books. The newest book is More Great News for America, and it talks about basically 2018 happenings that lead into 2019's happenings that lead into 2020. And so they're all there, and I have about a 90% correct rate on my forecast. Once in a while I blow it, just like the weather people tell you there's going to be a snowstorm in Jupiter, Florida, and it doesn't happen.
Yeah, well, you know, stranger things have happened. Hey,
greatnewsforamerica.com, or visit some of my books on Amazon.
Excellent. Hey, and questions, comments for the good doctor or myself, kl@kerrylutz.com is the email address, at Kerry Lutz, Twitter feed, Facebook page is Financial Survival Network. And hey, Gerard, always a pleasure. Thanks so much for coming on.
Oh, absolutely. It's a lot of fun talking to you. You're very knowledgeable, and it's always a delight.
FSN Radio. It's all about what's next. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and sign up for your free weekly newsletter. You'll also get 3 free reports. The Financial Survival Network. It's all about what's next.